The most famous book in all of Christianity was written by a man who absolutely loved to smoke a pipe. Interesting, right? C.S. Lewis will ever be remembered for his work called Mere Christianity. His impact upon all Christians is undeniable. While explaining the purpose of the book, Lewis says that he is only writing to defend mere Christianity, only the core of the religion, the beliefs common to all denominations. Also, he says our divisions should never be discussed except in the presence of Christians, because it will only turn unbelievers away from the faith. This refers to all our divisions, whether that be hermeneutics, the best church to attend, the best pastor to follow, a KJV Bible, long skirts, or alcohol. Basically, Lewis says unbelievers shouldn't know how Christians have differences within the faith. Let me hear what you think about that below. Lewis argues that there is a universal human conception about right and wrong. We have a built-in sense of justice. Lewis claims that only God could have instilled this moral sense in all of us. Then Lewis references the atonement. Christians must be careful to distinguish between the fact of the atonement and the theories of the atonement. A Christian is committed to the fact of the atonement. He may pick and choose in regard to the theories of the atonement, though no explanation a Christian chooses will be free of mystery. Not even God could admit the non-virtuous into heaven without an atonement. Lewis brings up temperance. Though we often limit it to mean abstinence from liquor, it is concerned with the moderate use of all things which are good. In a certain light, that probably means Lewis thinks it's okay and that there is a purpose for things like drugs, marijuana, tobacco, and other such things. He says in order to live the Christian life publicly, we must first be a Christian in our personal, moral lives. In reference to entering heaven, Lewis thinks it is the succession of free choices that make us creatures of heaven or hell, not the election of God. When discussing sexual immorality, the author says, either marriage is complete faithfulness or else total abstinence. This rule is so opposed to sexual instinct that either the rule is wrong or the instinct is depraved. Today, people act on sexual lust a lot. He gives an example of a striptease act on a stage where the average audience would think it madness if they replaced the women with unveiling of food, unless the audience was made up of people who had been starving for some time, which is hardly the case with sex in this age. So maybe, just maybe, keeping our discussions about sex on the down low isn't such a bad idea. It is no excuse for people to say they are no longer in love, because love is just an emotion. It has to be found on the promise of marriage. Nothing else will make it last. Love brings thrills that are only meant to start us off, and then love will die and it will push us on to something better, a more mature kind of love. Within Christian marriage, the husband is the head. Someone must have the deciding vote. The reason for this is that fathers possess impartiality and mothers do not. The reason why it should be the husband is the fact that women instinctively despise henpecked men and would be ashamed of being known to boss their husbands around. Lewis goes on to explain how we can love our enemies and yet still kill them in war. He says the great sin is pride. Pride is the worst vice, since it is inherently anti-God. Because of pride's wish to rise in power above any other, it is essentially competitive. God hates pride, not because it hurts his own pride, but it hurts the truth which states that God is really on top. Moving on, Lewis spends a lot of time with faith. No one needs to be praised for accepting evidence, but that it takes strength to fight off our non-rational moods, in which we feel tempted to abandon the faith. Such faith is developed by reflection on what one believes and by prayer. When discussing how God is outside of time, Lewis says God parallels to an author that is outside of the time of his novel. All of the characters and creatures inside of the novel are in their own time, but the author is outside of that time. So Lewis brings up this question: is Christianity hard or easy? The whole aim of Christianity is the transformation of our being. It is true that Christ asks us to take up a cross, but he promises that the yoke will be sweet. Church activities such as missions, social service, and other things like that are often looked upon as ends in themselves, but in fact they are only means to the principal goal, the transformation of human nature. It is possible that the activities of the entire universe are geared to nothing less than this goal, that we may be drawn to the Father through the Son. So as you think about Christianity, remember to count the cost. His plan is that we should go all the way, and after all, it is what he is planning for us that will be best for us. not what we would like to do. I leave you with this quote from Lewis. I am trying here to prevent anyone saying the really foolish thing that people often say about him. I'm ready to accept Jesus as a great moral teacher, but I don't accept his claim to be God. That is the one thing we must not say. A man who was merely a man and said the sort of things Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would be either a lunatic or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else a madman or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool, you can spit on him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. Give me a book suggestion below, and if I pick it, I will personally ship you a free copy of that book. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.